We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Nick Barris along with Allison Fields, veterinarian. The phone line, 737-7587. It's first show of the new year. It's kind of slow. Anyone who wants to ask a question, look,
right.
Vet's time is money, okay? But here you get it for free. All right.
True.
A question if you would like. You know, we do get a lot of questions about flea and tick control. We can hit on that, but I thought I'd ask your opinion on what you think of this moderate temperature.
We need to still be on our flea and tick control.
Okay, yeah, you're going to say. In the winter, sometimes she suggests, okay, it's freezing, there's no tick.
If we have a good hard freeze, November, December, and it stays cold, but shoot, it was in the 70s.
I know.
For days in a row
My
in
bees
December.
are out buzzing.
Right. So, yes, you need to stay on your flea control. The big thing that happens is that I see the most cases of flea infestations in January and February, typically.
January and February.
Which everybody's like, what do you mean? The fleas are out in the summertime. But what happens is, in the summertime, we're using our flea prevention. Most of the fleas are getting killed. Very few fleas are actually laying some eggs, which are falling off in your house.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, fleas hatch in the wild because the temperatures have stayed above a certain temperature, and they feel pressure from wildlife walking across them, whether it be deer, dogs, whatever. So we have these flea eggs that have fallen off in your house. We crank the heat up when it gets cold out, which to hit that number of certain days above a certain temperature is typically January, February.
Right.
We're walking across the carpet, the fleas hatch. So we get flea infestations
in the house.
In January and February. It's a bizarre kind of way to think about it. So especially when we have these mild winters, I really suggest that we keep our pets on flea control year round. You know, we're just in a geographical part of the world that is hard. Like in Florida, or Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, southern Mississippi, they just keep dogs. There's no question. Everybody's on flea control year round. Done. Because their winters are never very strong. So we're just in a weird spot that we're not always guaranteed the hard winter. We're not always guaranteed a mild winter. So we all kind of get a little confused about it.
I think part of it is that flea and tick control is not cheap. To do
Correct.
it right. I mean, it's well worth it, but it's not. And so I can see if you can get away with a month of not using it, fine. But you're right. This year, we've stayed on ours. Now, last time we talked, I guess it's been out for a while, but you're really high on some of these pills.
I am.
Do you like that? You're
them.
really high on these pills?
I'm really high on these pills. That was funny. I really like it, especially for households with small children.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about them getting into the topical stuff that's on the dogs. Now, don't get me wrong. When topical was the best thing we had, I loved it. I just said lock your children up lock your dog up or something so we don't cross-contaminate.
Yeah.
But now that we have these new drugs that can do fleas and fleas and ticks orally, it's the safety margin for your small children is great. It's a whole lot easier for elderly people who a lot of times trying to get that, hold the dog still, part the hair, get that down on the skin, not get it all over them. So it really is a lot easier for a lot of people. They are more expensive than the topicals. So if you're
Are they that much more right now? I mean, it's a pill a month. Once a month, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I know they're.
I think Frontline you can get over the counter for somewhere maybe $60 to $70, $60 to $80 for a large breed dog.
Okay.
These pills are going to run you $120 for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more expensive now. But the nice thing is with a couple of them, they're either monthly or there is one that is once every 3 months. Which is about the same price if you buy 2 of them as the 6-month supply of the monthlies. But it's nice. You give your dog something once every 3 months and your fleas and ticks are taken care of.
Right.
That being said, for me, that's a little harder to remember than the once a month. I just know on the first of the month, I give my dog her heartworm prevention and her flea control.
Okay.
I would get a little confused if it was every 3 months.
Do you guys do flea dips anymore? For any reason? I mean, if like let's
we
say,
don't have dip in the clinic.
That's not something that, I mean, even like where you're maybe getting these dogs from rescues or something that are obviously laden with fleas.
We give them a Capstar. There's a pill that most veterinarians and kennels use called Capstar that only lasts for 24 hours, but it kills all the fleas on the animal in 1 hour.
So if you get one, because you tell me, or someone said there was once some dogs that had so many fleas, you were worried they were going to get
anemic.
Anemic.
Oh, we give them a Capstar.
And that just kills the
within
fleas.
1 hour,
Awesome.
all of the fleas will be dead. Now, it only lasts for 24 hours.
Yeah, but then you're cleaning them up and getting them all
and then you
ready.
get some other kind of prevention that lasts a longer time. But yeah, a lot of veterinarians use that. A lot of kennels use that. If they come in and, if they come into board and we find fleas, we're going to give them that so that we're not transmitting fleas everywhere.
Yeah, when you just mentioned board, I was trying to think. A lot of people obviously are just now back from their vacations if they left somewhere. Bordetella, is that a vaccine that, do you have to have that irregardless, or do you only have that if you think you're going to be boarding your dogs or sending them someplace else?
Bordetella is considered a core vaccination for dogs.
Oh, okay.
And along with your distemper, parvo, and your rabies. It has gotten the layman's term of kennel cough.
You're right.
Because it was discovered in a kennel, not because that's the only place that you can get it. And so it is kind of a misnomer. A lot of people think, oh, I don't need that because they're not boarding. I see just as many cases of kennel cough, that dogs who have kennel cough that haven't been boarded, haven't been to the groomer, they've just been in their backyard. Yeah. It is highly aerosolized when a dog coughs, and if the wind's blowing pretty well, and your dog's over here, and this dog's here, and the wind's blowing in this direction, this dog coughs, boom. I mean, it's just like the flu for us.
Okay.
If we're coughing, we're distributing aerosolized particles of virus, and other people can get it. So it is considered a core vaccination. It is pretty much a mandatory vaccination if you are going to board your dog, because who wants to, you don't want to bring your dog to my kennel and let somebody else come in with a kennel cough dog and get sick.
Right. That protects them. So what are the core vaccines again? You said, I didn't know that about
rabies.
Okay, rabies, obviously.
And then distemper. We call it distemper.
And this is for both cats and dogs?
No.
Oh, no.
Well, it has distemper, hepatitis, parainfluenza, parvovirus, and then leptospirosis, which used to be in that DHPP vaccination. And about, 5-7 years ago, we decided to kind of stop doing it because a few dogs were having reactions to what we thought was the lepto. And we've actually seen a pretty big uptick in cases of lepto in this country, which is a zoonotic disease, meaning people can get it. And it can be very, very dangerous. And so I think veterinarians are starting, again, to vaccinate these dogs for lepto. And for the people who are concerned about the side effects and a reaction, a lot of times what we can do is just separate these vaccines. And so then they don't seem to have, instead of doing, if you bring mashed tater in, I wouldn't do, because she's like this big, I wouldn't do rabies, distemper, lepto, and bordetella all in one day. I would say, hey, why don't we do our rabies and distemper today, and we'll do our lepto and bordetella, in a couple of weeks, and we can split them up, which seems to help the immune system not have a reaction to them. So those are what I would consider the 4 core vaccinations. Okay. For cats, it would be rabies and their distemper, which isn't really distemper. It's feline viral rhinotracheitis, calicivirus, and panleukopenia.
What about cat scratch fever?
That really, we don't vaccinate
There's no
cats.
cat scratch fever. Wasn't that Ted Nugent?
People get that, yes.
Oh, okay.
If your cats go outside, they should also have the feline leukemia vaccination.
Can you quote the lyrics for me?
No.
Okay. Let's go to Robert.
Only like 8.
Yeah. Robert, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
Robert. What can we do for you, my friend?
I've got a cat that scratches around his neck only. Nowhere on his body very much, but his neck, he hollers and he scratches and he quits. Is it dry skin or fleas?
Huh.
Have you been to the vet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, without examining your cat, I can't really tell you if it's dry skin or fleas. I would put money on fleas because cats really don't get dry skin that much.
Is that right? Okay.
So, but you could definitely take them to your vet and have them take a look.
Okay. And the scratching, I mean, that goes with it. Now, sometimes beyond that, you're going to have cats that have allergies to the flea bites.
And a lot of times they'll get little scabs and stuff around their necks.
It's too much, so much scratching because they get A reaction to the bite? Yeah,
Right.
like, ugh, poor thing.
Poor thing.
We had to take her in all the time to get treated for whatever that was. But take you know.
But once you started her on flea control year round, you didn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, let's see that. What was it? This was back in the 1980s.
Oh, I was thinking it was your
What would I have been using in the 80s? Probably one of those
powders. No, they didn't have topicals in the 80s.
Powders were
powders and flea dips. Yeah.
I remember, and that was such a mess to do the powders. And then they'd walk around. Whenever you touch them, they're like this poof in your face of powders. Boy, we've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Janet, good morning. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
What can we do for you?
I had a couple questions.
Okay.
Why do male dogs mark? Some do and some don't. And if there's anything that can be done to.
Okay. You want us to answer that one first?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, male dogs mark their territory just like wild animals do to mark their territory. Typically, dogs that are neutered don't mark their territory. Dogs that are unneutered typically do.
Well, you haven't met my pug, Rocky. He's passive aggressive too. He can't handle anyone, you know. So, you know, he just likes to go piss on everyone's stuff. That's what he does. Crazy dang dog. I don't know. How do you stop that?
Well, typically.
You know what you have for him? A diaper. He wears a diaper around the house.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, he's got this little diaper that's Velcro, and he walks around in a diaper because he
of the time,
pissed on my man bag. Okay, go on.
Your Merce.
My Merce.
Most of the time, if you get them neutered, and if they're not neutered and you get them neutered, it can help. But a lot of times it's a learned behavior, and there's really not much you're going to do other than put a diaper on them. So that's one of the reasons that veterinarians recommend neutering dogs at a young age, about 6 months of age, because then they don't develop that habit, and once they're neutered, they typically won't. If they're not neutered and they've never done this before, and they're older and they've just started doing this, they need to go to the veterinarian because there may be something wrong, such as a urinary tract infection or something like that. So any new urinary behaviors that really haven't ever happened before, your dog starts going to the bathroom in the house, your cat starts going to the bathroom in the house, not in the litter box, that is telling you that there's a problem.
What's your other question, Janet? We can hear your doggies there.
I was just wondering, if a dog has surgery and they're a couple days later they're coughing, is that kennel cough, or could that be from the surgery?
It depends. I mean, without hearing the cough, I can't tell you, but you know, when we do surgery on dogs and cats, just like with humans, we intubate them. And so we put a tube in their trachea and maintain them on gas and oxygen. And so, I don't know if you've ever had surgery before with general anesthesia, but your throat can be a little sore after that because you've been intubated. Sure. And so sometimes we will see dogs who just have a sensitive trachea and they may cough for a few days afterwards. It should resolve pretty quickly. And so if it's not resolving pretty quickly, and by pretty quickly I don't mean a couple of months, I mean 3 or 4 days, then you may need to see your veterinarian.
All right, sounds good. When you do have surgery with animals, Mashed Tater had one. She had to wear the cone of shame.
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
The cone of shame, which is because she would lick.
It's called an Elizabethan collar.
An Elizabethan, yes, I see that too. That's a good name, but we called it the cone of shame.
Well, its technical name is the Elizabethan
collar. Do the dogs
collar.
like it, or do they feel shame when they wear it?
No, they don't. And if people wouldn't laugh at them, they wouldn't really know anything. But yeah, all we can do is laugh at them when we do that to them.
It puts around their head so it makes sure that they don't lick themselves or the wounds where they had the surgery. All right, Janet, thank you for your calls, and we need to take a break. When we actually, it was one call and multiple questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for your questions. We'll be back with our final segment with the lovely and talented Allison Fields right after this.